and thanks to all of you who are joining with us today. As we all are learning in America, surveys are corroborating what many on this call already know, and that is that COVID-19 is taking a toll not only on health, but is causing serious hardship, not only food hardship, but for so many basics that people need. Since March 2020, Propel has served its Fresh EBT app SNAP customers monthly to gain insights into their experiences during COVID-19. We appreciate Stacy Taylor, Propel's head of partnerships and policy, who is here today to share the top line findings from the most recent survey of those SNAP customers. Please, as Nomi mentioned, if you have questions, comments, feedback, please do use the Q&A box. And with that, I'm going to turn to Stacy. Thank you, Stacy, for being with us again.
Thank you, Ellen, and thanks to everyone who joined today. I appreciate your taking the time, and I want to point out that we will be sharing these results as a follow-up to this webinar also on our website. So please feel free to check that out anytime, and please be in touch if you have questions, ideas, suggestions, additional follow-up. I will run through these slides quickly today and encourage you to take time to dig back through them if it's helpful in the future. As a reminder for folks who have joined this webinar series in the past, but also for folks who are here for the first time, Propel is a technology company that builds tools like Fresh EBT, and Fresh EBT is the screen on the screen here today. It is a tool for SNAP participants, EBT card holders, to check and manage benefits that are dispersed on an EBT card. And that is how this survey is distributed. So the survey is distributed through Fresh EBT, which means every respondent is a current EBT card holder using Fresh EBT that elects to take the survey. So we send out an invitation to take the survey. Anyone who responds clicks on this link, completes the survey, and then is asked if they would like to share those results publicly, and those are the results that we have to share today. The survey results here are from the first 2 weeks of December, and we'll try to tie those back to some of the other results that we saw this fall. And we're just wrapping up our January survey this week, and we'll be sharing those results next month as well. But please don't hesitate to be in touch if some of those findings would be helpful in the interim. So in December, we also, it was prior to the holiday season, and we asked some questions about the holidays, which we haven't had a chance to share publicly yet. So we'll start the conversation today by sharing some of those. Not going to read every word, but we'll give you all some time to read them, and also we'll send them out if you'd like to return to them at any point. The results this month are tough. Every month they've been hard, and we can hear from households who have responded to the survey that pressures are building. Food insecurity has increased throughout the fall, reaching highest reported food insecurity through this survey in December. Housing insecurity has continued to increase, reaching its highest point as reported this fall as well. So have other measures of financial insecurity. Borrowing money to cover expenses, for example, has increased month over month. We saw the highest rates in December. We're also starting to see a trend in employment where households are reporting not only lost jobs, but increasingly reporting a reduction in wages and in hours. So responses cannot just be for folks who have lost their jobs fully, but for those who are unable to get the hours and the wages needed to get through the month. Since March, we have a higher percentage of households have reported having lost a job entirely, but in the past few months, a higher percentage have been reporting this reduction in hours that we'll dig into a little bit. When we asked households about the holidays, which we do every year in December, the answers this year were very different, as you'd expect. I'll let you all take some time to read the words on this page. We hear lots of stories and responses from folks that the holidays at the end of the year look very different, how resilient children are, that loss of family members due to COVID and other events weighed heavily in December. And families continue to face many, many challenges from many directions. As we turn to the survey results, having some slide challenges, sorry about that. When we look at the survey results, we'll look first at food insecurity. So this stat at the top here we've reported on since we started these webinars, and we're seeing the highest rates of respondents reporting skipping meals, eating less, visiting food pantries, relying on family and friends for meals. We're also seeing the highest rates reported of households reporting that they don't have or are running low on the things their household typically needs, like food and cleaning supplies. We also looked at the results this month by households who reported having received additional SNAP benefits or additional benefits on an EBT card, whether that be PEBT or the max allotment or emergency allotment benefits. And amongst households who had received additional benefits, we still saw the highest food insecurity rates as by these measures as we'd seen throughout the fall. We did see that families and respondents who said they'd received additional SNAP benefits showed lower levels of these food insecurity measurements, meaning additional SNAP works. And so happy to see the 15% increase being passed through the continuing resolution and starting to be implemented. And I think it's we can see in the survey results the need as well as when policies are effective. We heard from some households about how they've supported other households, friends and family, and been supported by friends and family. Nicole in Michigan wrote, "Well, I have helped a friend. Her food benefits was cut off. She has 5 children without food, so I gave her meat out of my freezer. She was very thankful." Janae in South Carolina shared, "I filled my friend's gas tank up last week because she did not have the money to get gas for her car. I fed my neighbors because they ran out of food." And Korea, North Carolina shared, "My aunt has helped by paying for expenses for my toddlers like diapers and winter clothes. My children's daycare allowed me to pay a little later than I was supposed to. And our pastor has given me money for gas." And Catherine in Michigan shared, "I have a family member who's always there for me. No matter what, if I don't have enough money to pay my utilities, she's there to help me. If I run out of food in the house, she's there for me. I'll do anything to give back to her." We see a variety of ways, big and small, that families are supporting one another and reaching out across the community. Here, we'll diving into housing a little bit. Housing insecurity, by measures of the survey, housing insecurity appears to have continued to increase throughout the fall. We also distributed this survey when the CDC eviction moratorium was scheduled to expire at the end of December. Over 40% of respondents reported levels of housing insecurity. Many reported that they're not planning to pay rent on time, in full, or at all to make it through the month and cover other expenses. And we also see that Black respondents were twice as likely to report that they probably will not or definitely will not be able to stay in their current housing, as well as to report higher rates of some types of eviction. And utilities, again, which we've seen in past surveys, and again this month, now a significant number of respondents are planning to skip paying utilities or pay only partial utilities, knowing that many will incur penalties. One respondent shared, "I had my electricity bill disconnected twice in the past 3 months. My phone bill disconnected. An ex-coworker helped me pay one of them." Amy in Oregon shared, "I have several friends who are homeless right now, and I've been doing laundry for them and allowing them to shower at my place." Jennifer in Florida shared, when I was evicted, I gave out food and clothes to others I knew needed it. I've been trying to give others rides to try and find jobs that's in a situation similar. It's been rough because we have no heat where we are residing and the house needs work. Friends have been helping us by letting us come shower and cook until I can get enough to buy a stove and buy the pipes to fix the bathroom up where we are living, but I'm thankful to have family. And Linda in Alabama shared, I've been homeless since September 2020 with my 3 children. I've applied for several assistance programs with no luck. We don't have any family, so we are alone. We stay from shelter to shelter daily, so my children stay warm and safe. The past week, we have been staying with friends, and they have helped as much as possible. Looking at measures of financial insecurity, we're seeing high rates of respondents reporting borrowing money from formal and informal channels to make it through the month, over 60% in December, up from 55% in November, and even higher for households with children in the home. Lots of people, my family included, are paying rent with high interest credit cards or payday loans. I have 0 income and a newborn. I refuse to put him at risk by bringing him to daycare and doubling his risk with my working outside the home. The variety of challenges, the interacting challenges that families are facing to make it through the month is coming through very clearly. Jamie in Michigan shared, at the beginning of this pandemic, I was holding down 3 jobs. I lost 1 due to feeling overworked, as I also worked at an elementary school and my own business cleaning homes. Thankful that I was able to receive unemployment and have my food benefits to help support my family. Since unemployment dropped drastically after the $600 a week was exhausted, things have been really rough. Being very responsible with my money, I did not make enough to pay my bills. I only have a few bills as priorities come first. If I kept every bit of my unemployment that I got per month, I still did not make enough to cut even rent. I have been receiving help from my mother. When this pandemic started and up until now, I have not been able to work, and both of my children are doing virtual learning at home due to the pandemic. All of this has given me no choice but to stay home, diminishing any chances of income that I can receive. Recently, I conducted the plan that would make it to where I can work, but only part-time. My mother is willing to watch my children and work around her own personal struggles with work to accommodate me. She has gone to extreme lengths to make sure me, her daughter, who's 41 years old, that me and my girls are able to just stay living in the home that we have resided in for the past 3 years. She is struggling to do this, must be fixed. This is extremely rough on me emotionally because I have done nothing but work to support my family and live an honest life. I see no ending in the near future as this pandemic has no end itself. Looking at work a bit in the survey results, as I highlighted earlier, we're seeing a higher percentage of families reporting having hours cut or lost wages in the last 30 days. Over 60% of respondents who are currently working report that they're working fewer hours due to COVID-19, and expectations for finding full-time work are declining. We're also seeing that the percentage of households who have had success in accessing unemployment insurance benefits has been declining all along the funnel. So each month throughout this fall, a lower percentage, and actually since March, a lower percentage who have been trying to apply for unemployment, looking at the results from not March, but June, a lower percentage each month have even tried to apply for unemployment insurance. 55% in June, down to 21% in December. Once an individual has tried to respond, we looked at, asked, have you had success in submitting an application? In June, 86% of respondents reported they had success in submitting an unemployment benefits application, down to 80% in December. And then for those who succeeded in submitting an application and received a determination letter, we asked, are you receiving unemployment insurance? And 75% of those who had successfully submitted an application in June were approved, down to 34% in December. We asked respondents, you are the experts. Please tell policymakers what they should be focused on and what they should be doing at this time. And I have a few pages of results here and many more that I would love to share. I'll share a few here. We need help. Low-income Americans are struggling to have basic necessities, food and shelter. We need direct payments to survive, from Lee in Missouri. We need this, especially those who have been sick with COVID and had to quarantine, could not work because of being sick and contagious, from Angela in Illinois. To give everyone a check and to think about other people and what we are going through. Frederica in Alabama. Rosemary in Texas shared, just to look at the main situation. A lot of people lost their jobs. We are just asking for a little help. Put we, the people, first. Daisy in California shared, when are they going to help with the bills that are not stopping? And Micah in Michigan shared, there's so many people in need, there's so many children, but I'm going to bed hungry at night. A few more here from Jessica in Vermont. Please consider that there are still people struggling and looking for work but unable to find suitable employment. I am one of many. I have a bachelor's degree and still can't find employment. And Pat in New Jersey shared, please help. When I signed up for the rent assistance relief, they had in Oregon on November 16th, 700 other people in need like me weren't able to get help. And we are all about to lose all we have. Family lives 3,000 miles away, dealing with their own hardships, so they can only do so much. We are severely struggling here in Eugene, Oregon. Help. Please, a second relief package for low-income families on SNAP benefits and Medicaid is in desperate need of help. Thank you for listening. Oh, excuse me, that was Robin in Oregon. And Pat in New Jersey shared, come live in my shoes. I work for minimum wage job, 20 hours a week. Let you see how to make ends meet on that with rent at $12.50 a month, just to start, not including anything else. And a few more here. And again, I will be sure to share all of these so you can read each of these words. I will share Shaniqui in Michigan. We need unemployment extended. We need better clarification of unemployment. We cannot survive off just unemployment. Jobs are shut down. Children are out of school. People are dying, some starving, most sick. None of us are certain about anything, just very afraid. I've lost one home due to not being able to afford rent, received my stimulus and secured housing so we weren't homeless. However, I still can't survive off $160 a week. I've worked my whole life, and as eager as I am for life to return to normal, I'm not blinded or selfish, misunderstanding the seriousness of COVID-19. I just request a little more help to get through this without losing everything. Again, these results will be shared on our website. We'll follow up with this PowerPoint and recording. Please be in touch if I can share additional results or findings, answer questions, and have continued conversation with each of you. Thanks so much for taking the time today, and I will turn it back to Ellen.
Stacy, thank you so much, and you're right. These are very tough findings, and unfortunately probably corroborate what many of the people on this call have some information about other surveys, what people with lived experience on the call know, what people who work with those communities have been finding out. I'm just wondering, there's a lot there. Do you, aside from the survey that you're doing, is there anything else with the Fresh EBT app that is helping inform you as to how often the SNAP customers are checking their balances these days? Is that pretty similar to what it would have been pre-COVID? Do you know if there are other features on your app that they're going to? Is your budgeting feature getting used more and more? And if you have any information on that. We do have a question about the racial disparities, and a person's commented that the Black households being twice as likely to say that they're not going to be able to stay in their current housing is a pretty stark one. are you seeing more racial disparities now than you were earlier in COVID, or is it just that the depth of the hardship is what's gone up throughout the fall, and is now at the at the highest point that it was in the fall?
That is an excellent question, and one I need to return to the data to be able to answer. I really thank you for pointing that out, for pointing out how stark that is. And we certainly are seeing the depth increasing. I have to go back and compare the data on that specific question and on others to see that trend in racial disparity. So if whoever asks that question will follow up with me offline, I will be sure to answer that. And for others who are interested in that as well, we can return to this for the next webinar. I'll be sure to have looked into that in more detail. My hunch is that it is increasing, but I want to pull it from the data directly. In terms of your first question, Ellen, we are seeing increased engagement in balance checking since the start of the pandemic. So we see individuals who have been using Fresh EBT prior coming back more frequently to look at balance information. We also are seeing increased usage in what we refer to as the Benefits Update Center. So this is a section in the app where we share information about changes to benefits, most specifically SNAP benefits, but also inclusive of information about the eviction moratorium, unemployment insurance, and other relevant, the economic impact payment and other relevant benefits that have come through a federal response in particular, and answer frequently asked questions there, share state-specific resources, and we've seen usage of that feature go up tremendously over the last few months.
Right. And so we have a question about one of the features of the Propel app, which is the initiative to provide $1,000 to random customers that use the Fresh EBT app. Is that related in any direct way to the survey? Is the chance to be part of the $1,000 program related at all to them answering the survey? And also, have there been any increased payouts to survey responders since the onset of the pandemic?
So those are two entirely separate initiatives. So the survey is shared through a different, in a different place in the app. It looks different, it's flagged different, and it's shared to a different population than the $1,000 payments, which is in partnership with Give Directly. There may be some overlap in that no one's excluded from one or the other, but they're two separate things. And the Give Directly payments, there is no screen or information required or participation required for the $1,000 Give Directly payments. They are limited, so the way those are dispersed is when we have funds available through the partnership with Give Directly, we flag in the app that it's available, and it's there for a time limited until the funds are fully distributed. Someone clicks in, can click on that to express interest, and doesn't have to share any other information other than once they successfully click, then they get passed to Give Directly to be able to get the payment information to receive that, the $1,000. Afterwards, Give Directly follows up and invites anyone who would like to share their experience, but that comes after the fact.
Okay, and Stacy, do you happen to know, and you might not, what the payout amounts have gotten up to? I know you started it as a very small initiative and were successful in growing the size of how many have been paid out. Do you have any idea where you are now? Or
we're at over 100 million. and with additional funds having been released this fall, I have to double check as to how many of those have gone out.
Okay, great. And one last question, because we are at time, and I know in previous surveys, sometimes you've had more information about what the experience is with the SNAP application system. And I see one in here that you had in these slides that has to do with the unemployment comp application system. I'm wondering whether or not you think in the next survey round you might be getting back at what people's experience with the SNAP offices is like. Or I say offices, they're not really the real offices, but with the system.
That's great. That's also a great question. We did not ask that question in the January survey, but can return to it for a future survey. However, also have found the most success in asking that question in partnership with a state organization, because the results are less valuable in the aggregate at the federal level and far more valuable at the state level. We sometimes run separate surveys in partnership with a state organization, specifically an advocacy organization that would use that information to advocate in their state, and also open to other channels as well. So I know some of you do that work, and if we can be helpful in supporting that, please do be in touch.
Stacy, that's great. I want to thank you very much for all the work that this survey undertakes, but also being generous with your time and sharing the results with us. I know we're at time, so I am going to end and turn it back to Nomi, but thank you to everybody for taking the time today.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much for joining us. If you need access to the slides or have any questions, feel free to email me, nsmall@frac.org. That's FRAC.org. Let us know if you have any questions, and thank you once again for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you.